Well, welcome back in for their second to last real-time rolARTdex session. And I am pulling out my bits basket to start searching for something to put onto the face of this rolARTdex card. I'm looking for kind of things that will be nice to layer up. So the first thing I've pulled out is some rice paper that looks like it's been used in a different project, and these are just like the cast-offs, which is usually what is inside my bits basket. So that is kind of where I'm getting started. I'm just gonna start creating collage layers. And right here, I'm just deciding which of these two papers I want to have as the background. And I really like the numbers that are going on this little receipt thing that I've dyed. I don't know what I've used on this. I would suspect that it's some alcohol ink sprays on that. But I am going to get that glued down using my matte gel medium and my flat brush. And I'm just going to place it on the whole of the background. So I'm going to start with layering up some of this rice paper, and initially I'm just going to use what's left, the gel medium that's left on my brush, to get this first little tidbit stuck down. But I am going to come in here in a minute with some fluid matte medium and use that to get the rest of it down. I just like how the fluidity of that matte medium, the fluid matte medium, really soaks into the fibers of rice paper. And I try and use that whenever I'm doing like napkins or tissue paper and that the sort. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to get a pretty good amount on my surface, add my rice paper piece, and then come back over that with more of the fluid matte medium to get things well stuck down. Now with rice paper, you don't necessarily always lose the background, but I find that it does a better job of having that kind of go and become more translucent, so you can see the background better when you do use the fluid matte medium as opposed to the gel medium. And I think you can see that really well here in this example. It's really interesting because I find that through this year of doing this real-time series, I've really kind of discovered some interesting things about my own process. So here I know that I'm really focusing because I'm piecing these little bits together, but I want them to look cohesive. And so I was really focusing, I didn't realize how much, on getting them pieced together so they kind of flowed well across, because I'm trying to bring your eye from the top left down to the bottom right, and now I'm coming in to kind of move that beyond that space a little bit more so I don't have these areas that have no interest. But to get the elements that were on this rice paper to mesh well in a different way than was originally intended by Rebeka Meyer, who is the designer of this rice paper, I was, it was a little bit of a challenge. I was really focusing, but I didn't realize how much I was focusing on that until I watched this back. So I don't know if that's interesting to you or not, but I find it interesting. And now I've gotten this good and dry, and I'm going to come in and do my trim work. And I find this is seems to be a really nice period of time for me whenever I'm trimming things down. It's really soothing. But my method for these Rol-ARTdex cards is to trim around the outside, around the edges, and then come in and do the bottom part that I hook into the actual Rol-ARTdex. And what I have found that works the best for these without causing any issues once you get to the actual Rol-ARTdex holder and not have it pull up the paper that you've just collaged down is to not trim those pieces down completely. So what I do is I just go up either side and trim it, but I leave it connected at the top. So you'll see here I cut the two narrow parts, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of fussy cutting type and come in and just trim it around the little wider area. And then I'm gonna leave it connected at the top, the parallel part to the bottom of the card. And I'm going to actually tape those up rather than trim it straight across there, because it has been my experience that when it's actually on the Rol-ARTdex holder, that it will start to pull up your collage work. So that's my method for trimming these down. And I'm really surprised I did not glue that tape down. Usually I put tape on those bottom pieces that I just fold up, but I usually glue it as well because I don't trust on that. That was just some leftover washi that I always save when I get packages with washi on it and that kind of thing. So now I'm going to come in with some Distress Spray Stain. This is Iced Spruce, which is a new to me color, but I really felt it would go well with the greens that were on this on this card already. And I am just initially going to use the spray nozzle as a kind of like paintbrush and just start applying that wherever I have the rice paper. And I'm adding it there first and initially because I really want it to draw your eye, but also for two other reasons. I want it to have the opportunity to soak in to that rice paper before it soaks into anything else. And so I want to give it some extra time to kind of be darker in that area. And so I'm literally just kind of making marks using this spray nozzle. And you're going to see that that's gonna kind of go away as it starts to absorb into that rice paper, because I am going to come in a bit here with my spray bottle and get some more movement out of it. Yeah, true to form. And I usually use this is because I like the way that it naturally, that organic way that one liquid reacts when another liquid hits it like that. So I'm going to pump up the volume with some color in areas that I felt were too weak. And then you're going to see I'm going to pull that back again a little bit. But I really love how it's starting to just be pulled in its own way into the papers that precede it. The rice paper was going to be more absorbent than that receipt paper because the cotton level is so much higher than it is on the regular paper. I'm not quite sure what they make receipt paper out of, but I don't think it has a high cotton content, if at all. So that is the primary addition of color that's going to happen in here. And I know there is going to be really no more texture added to this. I just love the visual texture we got from that iced spruce being added. Now I've dried it and now I'm just getting off the excess wet areas, which sometimes can be hard with the distress products. But I just love the way that that absorbed in. And I'm pulling out this Tidbit. This Tidbit was given to me. Crafty Hope and I did a little swap of bits. And we did 3 variety of sizes. And this was one of her smalls that she sent me. And I just loved the green in there. I love the pop of that brighter pink because I already have pink in my background, and I love the gold flecks that are in this. So I am going to use this as almost like my focal point, and I'm just trimming down an area that had some color in it that just I didn't feel like went with it. But you're going to see here, I'm going to once again kind of play with this piece and try and get it to form to the space that I have available. I want it to look like it belongs there. So, yeah, this is what's happening. And then I'm gonna like put it to the side because I've been messing with it for too long and try and find some words. And for the words, I'm really looking for single words, and I ended up finding some single words that would go well together. The hardest part about using this little tidbit was the fact that it was luscious on both sides of it, and I had to say goodbye to one side. So I am just putting down some matte gel medium to get this adhered to the surface of my card, and then I'm going to come and work on finding some location for the words that I've chosen, which are, let's see, fearless. Becoming fearless were the words that I chose for this card. And I just really love the ethereal look of the final card. But first, I got to get these words down, and I am going to come in, and I used to use threads and fibers a ton in my work, and I haven't been doing that lately. And I just got the feeling with some of the design work that I used from that rice paper, the circular pattern, that it would be really nice to kind of mimic that in some threads. So I decided to put some threads down and kind of cover up that little tidbit I got from Hope, but I come in over the top of those threads with these words. And for as long as this video has been in real time, I just feel like I didn't do a lot, but at the same time, I obviously got really focused, hyper focused into what I was doing, and I don't think I spent too much time just trying to overthink things. I kind of try and pull myself away when I start feeling myself go that way, like not knowing where I was going to put that little tidbit from Hope, and putting it down and then moving on to look for the words has helped through the years in keeping me moving forward and not getting too caught up in my head about things. So here's that little piece. It's kind of it's not really a black, it's not really a blue, it's kind of somewhere in between, so it's not really super stark, but those fibers, I really was pretty pleased with how they ended up working and kind of mimicking the circular pattern. So there's that circular up in the upper left, and then the bold circular pattern from Rebeka's rice paper, and then all the way down to the bottom right, you can see there's another circular pattern that kind of happens down there. So it's really bringing you through the piece and keeping with that odd number that's more pleasing to the eye. I hope that this has been enjoyable for you to watch, and I will see you again for another and our final real-time rolARTdex, but towards the end of the month. But I will see you then.